Welcome to another episode of 10 Intentional Minutes with Janine. Today, I've got with me Charlize. She is a website designer and Web3 marketer. Now, Charlize has been in the industry a little while, and she's going to tell us today about the importance of a web design or a website and web design when we are hearing things like AI and Web3. And it seems, Charlize, that those terms are actually scaring people right now. And the thing is, maybe after today's podcast, we can put them a bit to ease with that fact that AI is not to be feared, but rather what man is going to do with AI is much more scarier than that. So Charlize, tell us a little bit about web design and what are the key elements for web design? What do we need to look at? I mean, when you're starting a website and you don't have a lot of experience, what is it that we need to look out for?
Hi, Janine. Thank you for having me on this podcast. I'm very excited to be joining you today and tell you more about website design and everything about AI and Web3 marketing as well. So for me, there's a lot of key elements that go into a website. But if you would just look at the basic elements, that would usually be your fonts, your colors, your images, making sure that it's optimized for web. So the importance of your fonts is to make sure that you only use 1 or 2 fonts max per website. You can't use 10 fonts. It's not going to look professional, and it's gonna look
messy.
untidy. Yeah, it's going to look a lot messy, if that makes sense. Same with your colors. Choose your primary colors and stick to that. I mean, a lot of companies has this idea that the more colorful it is, the more people are going to react to it. They're going to like it as well. But it isn't like that. It's just going to look messy as well. I mean, you need to have your 2 to 4 colors, and you stick by that throughout the whole website. Just use those colors as well. And I mean, I see it in a lot of people that are wanting to do logos as well, everything like that. They think the more colors you use, the more people are going to react to it, and it's the complete opposite as well. So same with the images. I mean, use the images that are based on your company, that are based on what you do as a company. I mean, you can't just use any random picture and just say, oh, there we go, it's on the website. If people are not going to understand what you are going to do if you use a random picture on a specific type of website. So I think like that is the key elements to use when you are starting up with a website as well. I mean, if you just want to create your own website, just always make sure that you stick to those. And after that, I mean, it's just the website is going to flow. I mean, you're going to be more creative. It's going to make more sense. So that is for me personally the key element to use when you're designing
I like that.
a website.
And some of the things to highlight of what you said is like not too many fonts, not too many colors. So and your pictures or your images as well. And it comes down to your brand. What is your brand colors? What is your corporate identity? Go back to those things. Those are the things that you need to incorporate into your website, because no matter if people are reading through a brochure, watching or scrolling through your website, it must all give the same message, same colors, same font. So that's important. I really like that. And also with the images, when it comes to the images, your web designer should know that images needs to be named. And the reason we do that is for SEO, because Google can't read images. It can only read text, right? So if you name your images, your SEO will also be much better for your site. So thank you for that, Charlize. And, when we quote on websites, a lot of companies use the term responsive website. And then as a client or somebody that's not in the web industry, they're like, oh my word, what is responsive? Is my website not going to respond if these people don't do it? Like, what does this even mean? So maybe clear that up for us. And why is it important, Charlize, to have a responsive website?
So a lot of people think like if you tell them for a responsive website, like if they're not going to pay for it or they're not going to do it,
it's not going to work.
Not going to work. And that's not the case. To have a responsive website, you need to make sure that it's optimized for your cell phone, it's optimized for a tablet, and it's optimized for your laptop as well. So you need to make sure that if people use the different platforms, that the website is going to be accessible and it's easy to read for people using the different platforms. I think that's the most important thing that we as website designers forget sometimes. It's you're busy on your laptop creating this beautiful site, and then later you're like, oh, but I didn't optimize this for the cell phone. So if people are going to scroll through the website, they're going to be like, what is this? Like, I don't understand what type of website that is. So I think it's most important to just make sure that your website is working on all the different platforms, all the spacing, everything like that is correct using the different platforms. So that's basically what it means to have a responsive website, and to just make sure that everything that is in the website, let's say, how to interact with people on a website, having a WhatsApp button, having social media links, having videos, everything like that, that makes the person that's looking at your website think, okay, well, I want to send them a WhatsApp, or I want to send them an email. You need to have that, relationship when people are looking at the website, being like, oh, I want to know more about this company. You need to speak to the clients that's looking at the website.
I love that. So on that note as well, Charlize, give us some of the best practices for web design. I mean, our clients need to know this so that when they go into their project of web design, that they also know what is the best practices, what to look out for. So what would you say is the best practices?
Well, I would say the first for me always is I need to know the website that I'm designing. I need to know what the company does, what their mission and vision is. If I don't have an idea of what they do or why they are doing it, it's very difficult for me to create a website. So you need to make sure, if you want to design a website, make sure you know, okay, well, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is our vision. This is our mission. This is our core values. That's very important for me to sit and, okay, well, I know what I'm going to do. That if I've got that information, then I can go to, okay, well, I know what fonts I'm going to use. I know what template I'm going to use to design this website. So it needs to flow. If I don't have the correct information, then it's difficult for me to let the website flow. So you need to have, okay, I need this type of pictures. I need this type of wording. I need you to put in this email address for me. I need you to put in my Instagram, everything like that. So when people scroll down from the bottom to from the top to the bottom, they can see, okay, this is what they do. This is the mission and vision. This is the type of services they do. Oh, look, they've got a gallery as well. Let's email them. Let's send them a WhatsApp message. So it's more about, knowing the vision and mission, knowing more about the company, knowing what the client wants, and then using the correct images and colors as well for the website to have a creative flow.
I like what you say, because it's just as important for the client wanting the website to understand how that website works than what it is for the web designer to know what to put into it. Yes, we have the skill to put everything together, but you as the business owner, you understand your business, and it's still your responsibility to explain to the web designer, this is my business, this is the vision I have for my website, this is how I need it to work. The web designer will then tell you, in that case, I need this information, and you will give them a list of information. That is the only way that you will have a well-working website, which is responsive. Like you said earlier, that you're building that relationship with them. It needs to have a good flow. They need to understand the flow of the website. And that's the only way you're going to have to do that. Also, what's important that I see is that there's the whole time this relationship between the web designer and the client. That is very important. So I think that is something to highlight. Now, I know, Charlize, you have built many websites, right? So what are some of the main errors, or what are some of the mistakes that you can avoid in web design? I always say we learn from mentors or from mistakes. And let's rather learn from you as a mentor than making our own mistakes.
So for me, the most common mistakes I used to make is putting in way too much images. I mean, like just image here and image there, and then you know, it's just like you've got your gallery, you've got so many images. I mean, it looks like a circus. So I think that's like, you don't need to have a lot of pictures. I mean, you can have your gallery, and if people want to look at the pictures, perfect. But you don't have to have 5 pictures for one sentence. I mean, I think that's one of the most mistakes I made when I first started. And the spacing as well. I used to play around with spacing, stuff like that. And then I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, the spacing doesn't make sense. I mean, I've got such a little space here, and then at the bottom there's so much space. So I think like you need to make sure that your spacing is correct throughout the whole website. You stick to a spacing, and that's the spacing that's going to be on the website. The same with fonts. I love fonts, and I've learned the hard way that don't use too many fonts, because it doesn't look good. It looks messy. It looks unprofessional. And I used to sit and create this website with so many fonts that I was like, oh, I don't want to show this to the client. You know, like
and you thought you were creative, right? That's what you thought you were doing.
I think that people think being creative means having a lot of colors, having a lot of images, having a lot of different fonts, when that's not the case at all. If you use that, you're not going to look creative. You're going to look messy. You're going to look unprofessional. And I think that's like the mistake that I made in, I wouldn't even just say the first website. I made that mistake a few times, and it was hard to learn out of it. So I think it's just like people just need to sit and say, okay, well, what is creative for a website? Not what is creative for me. What is what is people going to like, and not, oh, I'm gonna like this, because it's not about you, it's about what the customers are liking. So I think that's like the common mistakes to avoid as well, because that mistakes doesn't look good. Not at all.
Exactly. And you put so much work into it, you know, as a web designer. But sometimes it's not just the web designer. You get the client as well, that their brief is that it needs to look like this, that, and the other. And I think that's why that relationship is so important, because as the web designer, you can now guide them and say, okay, this is not going to look nice. You know, you should have kept one of those websites so that you could show your client, okay, this is what you want. This is how it looks like. It's not neat, right? This is why we need to do it.
But the customer said, but the client said, no, change that.
So yeah, you know, and even in today's times where we are moving into Web3, right? I know we're going to speak about trends in a moment, but let me ask you this question is, do you still think we need these extensive 5 to 10 pager websites? Or do you think we can have as much impact just with a proper one pager that scrolls? Like, what is your view on that? And then you can also answer, like, what is, because I do believe it falls into the trends of 2023.
So I feel a lot of people want, you know, the 5 to 10 pages website, which a lot of the time the clients don't have the information for all of those pages. So it's very more like we're just wasting pages, to be honest.
And also money, right? Because you could rather use the bulk of that money or the rest of that money and spend that onto your social media campaign rather than putting it into a website that you don't even have the content for.
Exactly. And I think like a lot of people have this idea that if I have a 5 to 10 pager website, people are going to think like, wow, I'm so big, like I know what I'm doing. But if I go on a website and I see, oh, okay, there's a 5 pager, and on the last or second to last page, there's no information. I'm like, okay, well, why do you have this? Like, it's just, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time for the clients, for the customers looking at the website as well, because you go in on a page to learn more information, and then you go on a page and then it's like one picture or something like that, which if you have a one pager, I mean, for me, I love one pages. So a landing page is my favorite, because you can have all the information that you want, and you can have it from top to bottom, and people just scroll down. I mean, you can have your tab at the top that takes you to where you need to be, which makes it easier, which that's basically like different pages, because it takes you to the section that you need to go. So I think that's very important for me. It's just clients need to realize that you don't need to have a 5 pager to make your company look good. Have your landing page with all of the information possible. And people are going to be like, wow, this company knows what they are doing. This company has all the information on a one page, in one place. I mean, that's same with, I mean, let's go to the trends as well. I mean, I wouldn't say like, okay, this is the trends for now, because next week there's something else. I mean,
it's crazy. It's so crazy how quickly things are moving. It's 100% true.
And you learn something today, and then next week they're like, oh no, we're not using that anymore. There's something else that they design, and you're like, okay, well, I need to know this. But there is a lot of trends that I saw that people like going into this year, and that would be like using bold fonts, using the black background as well with, you know, like the neon signs, everything like that. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's nice fonts. I think it's nice trends and everything like that. But it's not going to last long. That's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you need to make a website that you know it's going to be still in a trend in a year or 2 years from now. Not it's going to look good now for, let's say, 2 months. And in a year from now, you're like, okay, well, this isn't what I want. This isn't nice anymore. So I think people need to go to the trends and like, okay, well, this trend, it's not going to stay. I mean, it's not going to. Look at something that's easy, that's, you know, simple. I think simple is always best.
I was just going to say, if you stick with your brand and you keep it simple and professional, clean and professional, clean and professional, clean and professional, and you stick with clean and professional, you will always be on trend, right? Exactly. Stick with your brand and just remain professional and understand the tone of the website. We don't have to how can I say, just speak corporate the whole day. Connect with your customer, right? That is the main thing. Where we're heading with Web3 is we are building communities with our customers. People don't like the bots, right? They want to speak to a person. So if you can avoid that, yes, I understand that it helps us to make that first initial contact. But if you can avoid the bot and speak to a person yourself, you mentioned earlier the plugins or the functionality of WhatsApp. That is brilliant, because that person is now not answering a bot now, it's answering a person. With the website trends going forward, we need to speak to people. We want short, concise information. We want, like you said, we want to make sure we scroll down, we get everything that we need. We speak to a person, we become part of a community, we get information for free. People love free stuff, you know. So what is it that you can give them for free? Is it your blog, or create an additional blog page? It is a podcast. How can you add value to your clients through the information that you are giving them? That is where we're heading in the future with Web3 as well. It's community, community, community. Within those communities, you will have relationship. And I like to refer to them as brand evangelists, because it's those guys who's going to spread the word about your company. And one more question I've got for you, Charlize, is how do you approach when you design a website? What are the most important things? And I think this will almost be a summary of what we spoke about today. What are the most important things, and how do you approach designing a website?
So the first step for me always is to make sure you know what your customer wants. So you need to build that relationship with that customer before you even begin with the website. I mean, and I think that's what we said throughout the podcast, like relationships with your clients, with the customers are so important, because if you don't have that, then you don't know where to start or what to do. So the first step always is to have a relationship with your client and to make sure you know what they want in the website.
Yeah.
I mean, it is their website that they are paying for you to make the website the way they want it. So it is you need to make sure that if you sit with the client over a Zoom or in person, that you ask them, what is your goal with this website? What do you want out of this website? So that they understand. Sorry, there was like a fly. So, I mean, that's the most important. And I think like throughout we spoke, you know, you need to make sure your colors are correct, your images are correct. What is the mission and vision as well? So you need to start with...
And not be a fly by night, right, Charlize?
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you've got Zoom somewhere or something.
I want to interrupt you there and speak about just what you said now about the relationship. Because if you think about this, I always say that marketers are the heart of the company, right? But in order for you, or the heartbeat of the company, but in order for you to be the heartbeat, you need to understand the heart of the customer that you are dealing with. Because it's not just about putting information on the website that they've given you. It's your responsibility as the marketer to truly understand who that company is, where they are now, and you basically taking them into the future. Trending or not, you are moving that company into the future. So where marketing is the heartbeat of a company, as the marketer and as the web designer, you have to understand the heart of your customer. Don't you think so?
No, definitely. I mean, without the customers or the clients, we wouldn't be able to do the job that we do. So, I mean, they are definitely the most important key factors. And I mean, the same that you said about Web3 marketing or AI, moving forward as well. I think you need to have that traditional marketing on the one side, but you also need to make sure that you are in the trends with AI and Web3 marketing. And you need to realize that you're not even speaking to a bot, but you can speak to us as well, and we can help you with all of those stuff that you don't understand. Because I mean, that is the way that the future is moving. And if you like it or not, in a year or in a few months from now, everyone is going to use that, and everyone is going to want to know more about that. So when you design a website or everything like that, marketing, everything like that, you need to make sure that AI or Web3 marketing plays in that. So it's an easy step forward to just move forward. And it's not like this huge step, like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know where I'm going. It needs to be a smooth process. And I think that's what a lot of the clients or customers or people don't understand about that, is you have a chance to make it smooth for yourself. But if you're not going to take that chance, then in a few months from now, you're going to be stuck where everyone is moving and evolving. You're still going to be, and you're not going to know what to do, except for accepting it and just, learning it. Why don't just learn it today? Learn more about it today. And then in a few months, you're on top of 80% of people in this world knowing what it is.
Exactly. And this is the thing, right? What I love about Web3 and where we're heading, what is trending? It means nothing, because you will set the trend in Web3. That is going to be the trend, is what you set to it. That's what I love about Web3. It fits every individual, and it's not about training, it's about setting the trend. So Charlize, thank you so much for your time today. I really had fun, and I learned again so much. And this is the thing, Web3 and where we're heading, AI, don't let the stuff scare you. Speak about it, learn about it, explore the things that goes around with it, so that it becomes familiar to you. Charlize asked me a couple of weeks ago, but how will we just, do Web3? And my question to her was, how did you do internet banking? And she kind of looked at me and she was like, I don't know, I just did it. And that's exactly what's going to be, and how it's going to happen with Web3. It's called the adoption of it. And we will just, from the one day to the next day, adopt to Web3, and we will adapt with Web3. So if you speak about these things, keep on listening to our podcast. We will cover this extensively in the upcoming weeks, so that you are ready, so that you know as a company where you are heading, but also as the customer, when you need to get these services, what are the stuff you need to look out for? What are the things that's important now? So thank you, Charlize. Thank you for your time.